So Carmelo Anthony signs with the Lakers yesterday. I went out with my wife for dinner last night, and Laker fans all over the place. Yeah, Colin, we're winning another title. Because of Carmelo Anthony? Malik Monk? Dwight Howard? Trevor Ariza? Folks, to be a great NFL team, let's start with the NFL. You got to have about 5 to 6 great players in their prime. Take the Buccaneers. Mike Evans in his prime. Chris Godwin in his prime. Shaq Barrett in his prime. Levante David, great linebacker, in his prime. Ali Marpet, their best offensive lineman, in their prime. Forget Brady the GOAT, in their prime. Kansas City the year before. Mahomes entered his prime. Travis Kelce prime. Frank Clark prime. Chris Jones prime. Tyreek Hill prime. I'd argue Honey Badger just left his prime, but he's damn good. Now, in the NBA, you don't need 5 or 6 players to be great. You generally need 3 players in their prime to win a title. The Bucks. Giannis, 2-time MVP in his prime. Chris Middleton is in his prime. He's nearing the end of it. He's got about 2 years left, and he'll move out of it. He's 29 years old, but he's in his prime. He's an all-star in the East. Drew Holiday's been an all-star. Again, he's at the edge of it, but 3 guys. And they weren't a great team, right? The Warriors were a great dynasty. They had 4 guys in their prime. KD, Steph, Clay, and Draymond. That's a great team. Michael Jordan's teams, the Bulls, if you go back, they had the second three-peat. Kukoc was the best European player at the time. He was in his prime. MJ prime. Pippen prime. And then I would argue Rodman was almost out of it, but he was still the game's best rebounder. Okay, all these players the Lakers have added. Are any of them great? No. Are any of them in their prime? No. So the entire Lakers roster has 1 player who is great and in his prime. Anthony Davis. Carmelo Anthony's 37. Ariza 36. Howard 35. Wayne Ellington 33. Russell Westbrook, folks, was not an all-star in the East last year. Russell Westbrook was the second best guard on his team last year, on a horrible team. Kendrick Nunn, 26. You're excited about Kendrick Nunn. Arguably the 2 smartest executives in the NBA are Bob Myers of the Warriors and Pat Riley of the Miami Heat. They both bailed on Kendrick Nunn. Malik Monk? Oh, yes, I was told last night Malik Monk by several Laker fans. He has 1 career start. Charlotte needs shooters. They got rid of him. Yeah, I can just see the June headlines. Malik Monk leads the Lakers to a title. You know, it's funny what fans do in small markets. You know, small market fans, you know, like Green Bay Packer fans or college basketball or football fans. It's the only team in town. They get very defensive. But usually in your Chicagos, your Dallas, your New York, your LA's, a little more sophisticated. They got multiple teams. They have, you know, it's major media criticizing the team, and they're more realistic about their team. They can move off a bad team. They've got a new team, new season starting. Los Angeles last night, I honestly feel everything I read this morning, Los Angeles became Green Bay, Wisconsin. You've talked yourself into something that is just simply not true. The Lakers will now be the oldest roster in NBA history. You think this stuff works? It's desperate. By the way, here's another thing fan bases do. They always badmouth players they get rid of. And they say, oh, I love the new guys. Everybody in LA ripped Kyle Kuzma for years. And Kuzma wasn't great. But Kyle Kuzma scored 25 or more points in a Laker game 30 times. Dude could ball. Okay, he's not an all-star, but Kyle Kuzma plays hard. Last year played defense 30 times. You know how hard it is to make the NBA? 30 times. 30. Kuzma scored 25 or more points. Now he's a bum. Outside of Westbrook, he's better than all these guys. Malik Monk, a lot of people think he's a bust. I got nothing against all these guys they're bringing in. But Los Angeles, get a grip. You're Los Angeles. Lakers, you're like New York and the Yankees. You know better. This is an antique store. It's all old guys or guys that aren't great. Oh, suddenly Kendrick Nunn. Kendrick Nunn, the two best executives for personnel in this league, see ya. He's like a poor man's Deion Waiters, where he's athletic, he can score, but he's got to kind of do his own thing. He and LeBron's games don't really match at all. I mean, I defended the Westbrook move because I do think Westbrook has moments of brilliance. He drives me nuts. He can't shoot anything beyond 18 feet. But I defended the Westbrook move. I get it. He plays hard. He's a Hall of Famer. LeBron trusts him. He does have quarters, moments, 6-minute stretches where he looks like the world's best guard. I just don't trust him in big spots. But I'll defend the Westbrook move. Melo's done. Come on. Nothing against Wayne Ellington, but you foresee Wayne Ellington leads Lakers to title. You guys are all bad-mouthing Dennis Schroeder and Kyle Kuzma. Those guys can play. A lot of these guys are shot or have an incredibly low ceiling. So, by the way, Anthony Davis is the only player, back to my initial rant, he's the only Laker who is great and in his prime, and I would argue he's leaving his prime. The last 3 years, Anthony Davis' field goal percentage has declined. Last 3 years, three-point percentage has declined. Why? Legs. You lose your legs, you lose your shot. He averaged 28 and 12 back in like 2017. That was his prime. Usually in the NBA, your prime is your second contract. It's like, 25 years old to 30 years old, like 5-6 years where you're just Superman. But because he was so great early and has had so many injuries and has not taken care of his body, he is going to age very, very quickly. This is his 10th year, and key numbers are telling you he's now moving over his best years. They got one guy in their prime, and I think Anthony Davis will have a very good year this year because I think he's hearing all the criticism. And I think AD will come back and be a really, really good player. But folks, look at the last several years with injuries. He can't stay healthy. So, this is just an old, desperate team, and I am shocked how many Laker fans are like, this is that. Listen, you go over and as much as everybody liked the Brooklyn Nets, what did I keep saying about the Brooklyn Nets? Why did I pick the Milwaukee Bucks to win the championship this year? I did. It's on record. Did I think they had the greatest roster? No. But they had a mix of youth and tough dudes, dogs. P.J. Tucker, dog. Drew Holiday, dog. Giannis, Middleton, all-stars. They had a system, but you can't just have old guys and average young guys. That's not a championship team. And I said about Brooklyn this year, why was I a doubter on Brooklyn? KD, older with injuries. Kyrie, injuries. Like this Laker roster is going to have a lot of guys go on the 2-week, injury report. It's just an old roster, and it just shocked. I'm shocked by how many people are like, yeah. It's like, what? You got to have 3 guys who are great in their prime. Like LeBron, Bosh, and Wade. Now, Wade was leaving his prime, but that first title, Wade was in it. Now, he was leaving it, but Bosh and LeBron were in their prime. And then you can bring in a Ray Allen and a Shane Battier and a Mike Miller. Udonis Haslem can be on the team. That's fine, but you got it. The core, the foundation of the championships with the Buccaneers, with the Chiefs. The 49ers a couple of years ago came within a completion of winning it. They had like 7 great young players. NBA, you got to have at least 2 great stars in their prime, and then maybe a third guy, like a Drew Holiday. Like, go look at the Spurs when they were at their best. Duncan, Ginobili, Parker, all in their prime. Then you can add old guys. By the way, I thought the move yesterday, nobody's talking about, Patty Mills went to the Nets. That's a huge pickup. Patty Mills can shoot. He can play. That's what everybody should be talking about. Wayne Ellington and Kendrick Nunn. Los Angeles, shake yourself. What are you doing? Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.